Hello YouTube, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about the Middle East. This will be a very interesting video. You'll have to stick around to the end to see what kind of conclusions we come to. So please like the video and please subscribe to the channel so you can know about all the upcoming videos. We have some interesting topics planned, but today we're going to talk about the conflict in the Middle East. And we're going to take a look at some news. You can see our beautiful map here of the Middle East. Yeah, there's a lot of conflict, especially around Israel. The Z State, call them the Z State. So YouTube doesn't flag us. We're talking about their ideology, the Z ideology. That's something we're going to talk a bit about. They are claiming to have made some progress in Lebanon. Up here is Lebanon. They're also attacking Gaza. History did not start on October 7th of 2023, so there is a history, about 75 years of this conflict. That's a different topic, but today we're going to talk about the Z State and about Benjamin Netanyahu, the nutty head. He has claimed that they are making progress and they are winning the war. We're going to take a look at that and see if that's a true claim or not. Let's look at some of the facts. Anyone knows what's happening right now. If you look in the news, you can see there's a lot of civilians that are being killed. That's why we call it a G-side. We know that the Z State, they have stopped humanitarian aid coming into Gaza. You can see here on the map, Gaza is a very small piece of land with over 2 million people. Yeah, they say over 50,000, possibly more, have been killed in this conflict. They are still fighting back. It's controlled by an H group. Again, we're not going to say the name because it's YouTube, but there's an H group there. They're still fighting back. Recently, their leader has been assassinated. Well, it seems like he died in the battle. He was actually fighting. Unlike the Prime Minister of the Z State, Mr. Netanyahu, he sent his son to Florida. Yeah, we see that some leaders, they actually fight, and some leaders, they run, or their children run. We know that Mr. Nuttyhead, he's in a bunker somewhere probably under Tel Aviv, but we don't really know. Another H group up here in Lebanon, they have hit his home, but he was not there, sadly enough. Even if he was there, it probably would not have changed the conflict much. Yeah, when we look at the conflict, the Z State, they have claimed that they are meeting their target. They said their target was to get rid of these H groups. They have not gotten rid of the H group of Palestine yet in Gaza. They also assassinated some leaders of the H group up in Lebanon, and they've tried to penetrate into Lebanon. They haven't gotten very far. They keep getting ambushed by the fighters, even after they killed Hassan Nasrallah, who was the leader of this H group up there. Again, we're not saying their name because it's YouTube. The Z State, they have claimed victory, but they still are dragging their feet over a ceasefire. They don't want a ceasefire because they say they're making a victory. Well, I guess if their victory is to commit a G-side and see how many civilians that they can kill, I think they've done a pretty good job. Yeah, they've stopped all the aid going to Gaza, which means they can starve northern Gaza, and the people will starve. Yeah, they are civilians, women, children, older people. Yeah, they're going to starve everyone. Collective punishment, which definitely goes against the G-side convention, against the United Nations. They've even kicked out the United Nations organization that's supposed to be giving aid. And up in Lebanon, they keep attacking the United Nations peacekeeping forces, telling them to get out of their way. The H group just has fought back. And as I said, they are also attacking inside of the Z State, attacking military targets, bases, other buildings that have to do with military, like factories. The Z State has lost several tanks. They are losing soldiers too. But again, Mr. Nuttyhead, he does not want to stop. It seems like we could say they have not reached their target. We do have an interesting interview. We have a short clip. It was on Dialogues Works channel of Professor Mohammad Marandi. He is a professor at the University of Tehran in Iran. He's gone around and done quite a few interviews. We're going to show a little clip where he's talking about the effects of the Z state killing the leaders of the H group of Lebanon, and he talks a bit about their new leader.
He's one of the founders of Hezbollah. He's always been a senior official. He travels frequently to, in the past, he's traveled frequently to Iran. He understands uh, politics very well. He is the person who I think, expected to become the person who leads Hezbollah under these circumstances because of the speeches he's given more recently. And I think he was probably, and this is just my guess, that he was probably assuming this position before it was formally decided or before he was formally declared as the head of Hezbollah. But I think it's another sign that Hezbollah has fully recovered and that most of the people who were injured from the pager terror attack, fortunately, they've recovered and they're back in action. And the commanders have all been replaced. In fact, I should word this carefully so that I'm not misunderstood. I think that the Israeli regime made a major mistake by taking out all the commanders and all of the leaders of Hezbollah that they could. Because what I think happened as the result is that all of these people were replaced and new people came and assumed responsibility. But the Israeli regime doesn't know these people anymore. There are many questions now. So they thought that if they murder these people, if they martyr these people, the leaders, the commanders, that they could just roll over Hezbollah and steamroll Hezbollah and win the war. Obviously, they couldn't. They haven't taken a single village in southern Lebanon. Last night, there was very heavy fighting as they tried to move forward in Khiam, and they failed. But I think they've made a big mistake, and it will take many years for them, if they survive, to be able to gather the sort of understanding of Hezbollah that they were able to accumulate over the last couple of decades.
He talked about how they have appointed a new leader, Naim Qassim, and Naim Qassim also, he was the second in command, and now he is the leader. And the H group has definitely recovered from their losses because, well, it's an idea, a resistance. They're trying to fight for their homeland. They don't want to be invaded again because it's not the first time that this type of invasion has happened. It's very terrible when we see in the news how the Z state, they just tell civilians to evacuate their villages here in southern Lebanon, even here in Tyre. They've been bombing as well as in Beirut, so they have definitely been targeting civilian areas. Tyre is one of the oldest cities in the world. It has a lot of history and culture from many different civilizations, and parts of it have been bombed. Also bombing way up here in Baalbek, which is also another cultural heritage site. So it seems like that they are targeting the culture of Lebanon. We know there's a Greater Z State project. Yeah, they want to take parts of Lebanon and much here of Syria and even Jordan. Jordan, they seem to have a leader who doesn't really know what's going on. Maybe he should go back to Britain, where he came from. That's a different topic also. So if you want to hear more about the politics of the Middle East, I suggest you subscribe to the channel and you like the video, leave some nice comments. The algorithm is not very friendly, especially to people who like to try to dive deeper into the news. Yeah, please help out there. Going back to our topic, we also know that Iran, they have been dragged into the conflict starting back in April when the Z State bombed their embassy. That was here in Damascus. Z State thought that they could get away with it, but Iran, they attacked back. And then the Z state escalated again by attacking Iran. They killed the leader of the H group of Gaza while he was in Tehran. Tehran is the capital of Iran. So that was an escalation. Yeah, on October 1st, Iran, they actually hit back. And they hit back a bit harder, hitting back some of the bases. The Z state didn't tell us how much damage they did, but it looks like they did a little bit. Again, the Z state has retaliated, and I would say they escalated by attacking Iran. Again, there's a lot of different reports about how much damage they did. They said they knocked out some air defense systems. They shot their missiles from inside Iraq, so they never crossed into Iranian airspace. The Iranian government says there was a bit of damage, but not so much, and they did lose 4 soldiers, and the Z state did manage to kill 1 civilian, something they are very good at, killing civilians. Surprisingly, they killed more soldiers than they did civilians. That is something that was a big surprise. Now we are looking at a situation now where Iran is going to strike back, and maybe they will before this video is up on YouTube. I think they may wait till after the US elections, but that's just a guess. Maybe by the time this video is up, they will have already struck back. Looks like they're going to strike back harder. Again, we have a short clip from Professor Marandi. He talked a bit about that.
For like, I don't know, a week or a few days before the Israeli attack, the markets in Iran were down. And the Iranian currency, the rial, was also down. As soon as the attack took place, in the morning, the markets went up and the currency, Iranian currency, went up. So even if a government goes and then shows and then puts, I don't know, patriotic music on television and says that we won, but in reality they had lost, the markets would know, because that's, you know, they have to gather information, they have contacts, they have links, just like everywhere else in the world. So it's obvious that the markets were not, as they say, impressed. What happened was that the Iranians did not use most of their missile and air defense capabilities. They used a small portion of them, because what the Iranians believe is that this attack was basically an attempt by the Americans more than the Israelis to understand Iran's air defense capabilities. So overwhelmingly, most of Iran's air defense capabilities were not used. In 3 areas in Tehran and in 2 provinces, parts of them were used.
Yeah, like I said, Iran is a very big country, and even though the Z state, they declared victory and said they did a lot of damage, it's hard to see that because, well, Iran has a big country. They have a lot of military sites, and many of them are underground, and they have been preparing for this type of conflict for a very long time. The reason why they want to attack back, of course, is to create deterrence, but also because there's some G-sides going on that somebody has to strike hard. Unfortunately, the other leaders in the Middle East, they are very sleepy, and they're not doing much, like Sisi in Egypt, or the King of Jordan, who we said earlier, he's a Brit. I think his mother was from Britain. Maybe he was born there. I'm not really sure about his history, but I would definitely do some research, and we can talk more about that particular topic. Again, if you like the video, if you subscribe to the channel, it'll help me make more interesting content. Yeah, please share with your friends to get the word out. Write a comment. You know the drill. Help out the algorithm. We are seeing here a very terrible situation where the Z state, and we know they're backed by the West, especially the US. We don't really know what's going to happen next. Could be a very big conflict, and it's looking very hard to stop this G-side without much more conflict. We do hope for peace. The conclusion we are reaching today is that the Z state, they have not achieved their objectives. They have not achieved their military goals. If they are trying to create a greater Z state, well, they're not taking much land, but they are depopulating the land, which I guess would be the first step. The unfortunate thing is that they're getting support from the West. The U.S. has always supported them in the United Nations. They have diplomatic cover, even when the other countries, like Russia or China, have voted to try to end the G-side or voted for some diplomatic solution. It's always the U.S. and the U.K. who seem to be getting in the way. Yeah, these are the two countries, the U.S. and the U.K., that created the Z-state. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, help out the algorithm. The goals of the Z-state are not being achieved. That is our conclusion. However, they are killing a lot of civilians. They're committing a G-side, and they're breaching the UN. They are even fighting, it seems, against the UN, but they are going against all international norms, and possibly the only way that they can be stopped, unfortunately, is by a bigger attack. But we hope that it will create deterrence, and it will not create a bigger war, because, well, that would be another topic also. What could happen if there's a big war? Thank you for watching the video, and hope to see you in the next video.